like that, the Plains Indian people for food are going to use the muscle of that buffalo. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit.
If we have a chance, we'd like to, we have two pairs of students that everybody wrote a report and they chose whatever Indian they wanted to research. But I picked just two so that they could share with you some of the things that they learned. So if you could let me know when that would be a good time.
Oh, that sounds great.
That would be wonderful.
Why don't we just talk a little bit more about buffalo and how they come to buffalo, and then
we'll share, and then that will help us too to be able to show you a few things after that. So a little bit more about buffalo. Well, first, let's just do a quick brainstorming, then we'll talk about.
Yep.
We did talk a little bit how Plains Indians use the buffalo for meat to eat, so that's food. What else can you think of that they would use the buffalo for? We're just going to name a few things. Not too many, but just a few things. What can you think of? What else would they use buffalo for besides to eat them?
Okay, let's see. How about the young lady with the pink? Yes. Speak over this way. Look over here. This is the camera.
Clothes.
Clothes, she said.
Oh, exactly right. They did use them for clothes. Good job. What else?
How about Francesco? Food.
Food. Yeah. Food and clothes. Anything else you can think of?
Jordan.
Decoration.
Decoration?
Decorations. They did use them for decorations. Good job. We're going to show you some examples of that.
Okay.
How about one more?
One more. How about the young lady way in the back with the pink?
For a blanket.
For a blanket?
Yes, definitely for a blanket. We're going to be able to show you an example of that coming up pretty soon. And one more thing that we might think about that you didn't mention but might have been on some of your minds is they used it for housing. They used it to make a teepee. And so Megan's going to show you a picture of a teepee.
Sorry, I'm trying
And
to.
that's a high teepee, and that is another thing that they used it for. And we'll talk a little bit more on the teepee as we go along. Before we do that, we talked about some of the things that they used buffalo for, but they had to hunt those buffalo in order to be able to use them for food and for clothing. And they actually did that in some different ways. They sometimes used bows and arrows or spears, but one other way they did was something called a buffalo jump. And they would run a whole herd. They'd scare a herd of buffalo because buffalo live in herds. They live in big groups. They like to be together. They don't like to be by themselves. And so the Plains Indian people would get on horseback or sometimes on foot and chase buffalo off of a cliff. Now they would chase a whole bunch of them all at once, and when the buffalo fell off the cliff, they would die at the bottom of the cliff. But that would allow them to have a good meat source and a source for clothing and to make teepees all at once. And there would be people that would be ready to process those buffalo and get all the parts that they needed to use. So that was something that they did to hunt them. How about if we do the sharing? Does that sound good?
Great. We'd
love to hear what you all have to share. Those people have done reports. So we're going to pass it back to you and listen to what you've done.
All right, we're going to come around this way. Ladies, could we make a little path here?
Up to our left and to it.
And we might need a light on. Maybe, how about the two back lights, please? Thank you, Mrs. Clapper. All right, so okay, let's see if you can see the students. Yep, there we go.
Perfect. We can see you.
Okay, you're going to be looking right here, and then you're going to show your pictures as you go along.
Oh, we love
All right,
pictures.
here we go. Say your name. Say your name.
Nadia. Tessa.
Nadia.
Tessa.
And Tessa.
And Tessa.
All right, Nadia and Tessa, we'd love to see your picture.
Show your picture first. And hold it up so we can see it on the screen. Navajos by Tessa and
Nadia
Nadia.
in that picture. It looks like they just dressed in some beautiful clothes.
Yeah.
And I see the title Navajo, so those would be Southwestern Indians.
Location. The Navajo live in the dry, walking area of Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and Colorado. Their houses are called hoggins. They are made of wooden poles, tree bark, and mud.
Could you hear them?
We can hear well enough, yep.
Okay.
Say really loud though, speak loudly.
Famous Navajos. Bantico signed a treaty.
So go ahead and show his picture.
Famous Navajos.
Ooh.
And who is this? We didn't hear who it was. I'm sorry.
Barboncito. Barboncito?
Ah.
Great.
He signed a treaty. Okay. Turn the page.
The weather. There was very little rain. It was dry.
Talk a little louder, sweetheart, okay?
Say it a little louder.
The weather. There was very little rain. It was dry.
It was very little rain. It was dry. Okay.
Hey, yes, the Southwest definitely is. Around here, it can be that way too.
Navajo diet. They eat crops and sheep. It was put in water and cut.
So go ahead and put it up. They're talking about what they eat. Navajo diet. They eat crops and sheep. It was put in water and cut. That was one of the ways that they made their food.
Terrific.
You're sharing the Navajo culture with us.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Navajo clothes. They wear a birch cloth and as underwear and jackrabbit skin leggings. They wear light clothing.
So broadcloth. Go ahead and turn it. You want to show the picture?
Navajo clothing, the cloth. Yes, I see the cloth. They do. Yeah, very good.
Spent a lot of time on this report.
We did. We spent 2.5 weeks.
Wow, they're excellent.
And we did lots of research online, and then they had to create their own keynote presentation.
Yes.
So,
Navajo art and crafts. They weave colorful belts, rugs, and blankets out of homespun wool.
okay, pull that up. Show the picture.
Arts and crafts.
And they did lots out of wool, and they did. Excellent.
Okay.
Great.
Navajo games. Navajo kids played a game called Kyoshi. There is 4 shoes and a root. They guess where it is.
Okay. Are you done? Nope. Oh, now,
For kids.
now we have a legend.
Legend.
Legends. Oh, that'll be. It's stories like we told you.
Make sure you're speaking loud.
There were 4 tall gods, and they were born from the earth. They were called the Holy Ones. The first had a white body, the second had a blue body, and the third had a yellow body, the fourth had a black body. They each had special powers. The white god was the talking god, and the blue god was the water barrier. The yellow god was the house god, and the black body was the fire god. The water barrier and the fire god put a new buckskin on the ground. The talking god laid an ear of white corn on top of it. The house god placed an ear of yellow corn placed underneath the ears of corn. With white feather was placed. White wind came from the east and yellow wind came from the west. They blew on the skins and lifted them up. The tip of the feather fluttered in the holy wind. A man came from the white corn and the woman came from the yellow corn. Under the buckskin, the holy winds went inside the bodies and came out of their mouths, so that the first man and woman could speak and breathe. The first man and woman found a baby girl named Changing Woman. She gave birth to twins who killed the monsters on Earth. Changing Woman traveled to the Pacific Ocean and created 4 clans of people from whom the Navajo believed they came from. Tough against cold weather shown on the right.
Oh, hold it up a little bit so they can see.
Of the
Sioux.
Sioux.
You gotta hide. Great.
Plains Indian tribe. Terrific. And we'll show you a real hide in a little while.
The Sioux ate buffalo, duck, and wolf. They boiled it, salted it, and in winter they turned it into broth.
Okay, so they're talking about how they served their food. Were you able to hear them?
Not very well.
The Sioux ate buffalo, duck, and wolf. They boiled it, salted it, and in winter they turned it into broth.
Aha.
And they drew pictures. They couldn't find pictures on the internet, so they drew their pictures of buffalo, duck, and wolf, which I thought was really cute.
I
Good
love it.
job.
So creative.
Wonderful.
Shelter for the Sioux.
Speak loudly.
The Sioux lived in colorful teepees. The frame was made of wood and buffalo hide was spread on the frame.
Could you see that?
Wonderful. Indeed. All right.
Arts and crafts of the Sioux. This buffalo cup was made from the Sioux people. They made ropes from buffalo fur. They made sleds from buffalo ribs. They used mud, buffalo, and beads.
Very good. Oh, I see a buffalo horn there.
Crazy facts about the Sioux.
Hold it up.
To get work done, men who were good hunters would marry more than one wife. That's a lot of kids.
Yes.
Famous Sioux. Chief Little Crow, Chief Red Cloud, and Chief Sitting Bull fought at Little Bighorn.
Hold that up and let them see it. So
Yeah, they were at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Correct.
And those are some famous ones. We have some of their things here at the museum.
Sioux religion. Once there was a black crow. It flew, but a hunter shot
hold
it.
on. Put it up close. Can't hear you.
Once there was a black crow. It flew, but a hunter shot it, and our people stepped out of the dead crow, and that is how our people came to be.
Yeah. Good. And your story is different than the other story we heard earlier, and that's very typical.
All right. Thank you. Nice job, kiddos.
Thank you.
They had in the report they talked about, and we showed you a picture earlier of a teepee and how that was an ideal home because they would actually follow buffalo furs and they would have to roll up their teepee and take it with them. But one thing that Megan is showing you was actually something called sinew, and it was used to actually sew the hides together to either make a teepee that they could live in or clothing. And it's a really strong material, and that's what helped keep the teepee from falling apart. It was sewn together very tightly with this sinew. Well, sinew is made from a part of the buffalo called the tendon. It's got tendons in your body too. It's what holds your muscles to your bones. And it has to be really strong because you're running and playing on the playground and you don't want your muscles separated from your bones. You have this really strong material inside your body that holds bones and muscles together, and so do buffalo. They came in very easy to sew together, even clothing. Very strong material. So we talked a little bit about food, and they talked a little about food too, about the foods that they made from buffalo.